Welcome back to Wolf Guitars and Gear, where we help you get fat tones from a skinny wallet. Last week, I told you about 5 reasons why you might want to get a Fender Jazzmaster. This week, I'm going to give you 3 reasons you may not want to. And I don't like to do negative videos. I like to keep everything positive and upbeat. But I did want to point out, particularly on my model, some things that I noticed. Some strengths and some weaknesses. I pointed out a lot of strengths last week. Obviously, if I only have 3 reasons that you may not want to get a Jazzmaster, then that's obviously less than the 5 reasons I gave you to get one. So, here's one thing I would say, is that I found that having had this for really just several months at this point, that this main 3-way switch is already going bad. So I would say that at least on this classic Vibe model, that they put some cheap parts on it in terms of the electronics. Obviously, that's a fairly easy replacement and in no way devalues the guitar going forward. I'll probably just replace the switch and probably the pots at some point here to something a little more durable, and I'll probably enjoy that a little bit more. One other big reason, so reason number 2, that you may not want to get a Jazzmaster, is that one thing that's very, very common is right here on the bridge. A lot of times people have talked about that if you play too hard, that a lot of them have just a classic multi-ridged saddle, and the string will actually move, and you'll get this. Or it'll, you just constantly be out of tune because of that. I would say that one of the strengths of this Squier Classic Vibe is that they've actually got a grooved barrel saddle there that's much more similar to something that you might see on, say, like a Tele bridge, for example. Be more in line with something like that. So I don't have those issues with this particular model, but with ones that are maybe more a standard Fender, that is something that I have heard. And the way that most people then try to deal with that is to put heavier gauge strings on so that it can take a little bit more playing, and that increased string tension then hopefully keeps that string in place. I don't necessarily like to have heavy strings on here. At the moment I have some 10s. That's about as heavy as I would ever want to go on here. It came with some 9s, and that was okay, but that was actually almost too light, so I think 10s are pretty much just perfect for me on this guitar. One of the other things I would say from a quality control standpoint is back here. These tuning keys are okay at best. They are not great. Again, in terms of upgrades, this is something that I'm definitely going to do at some point, so that would be something else that I would point to. In addition to that, I would say that there's even a spot here where this darkened kind of amber look that they have on the neck, some of that stain got on the nut here. So it's just like small details. It makes no difference in the way that it plays, but it's just annoying, some of the quality control issues that I've seen. And like I said, let's be fair. This is a Squier. You can't expect a ton out of it. But outside of that, like I said, the playability is awesome. It intonates well, plays well, sounds great. So definitely these are just some other considerations to think about when you're considering buying a Jazzmaster for yourself. Are these some things that you want to deal with? I mean, from a lot of guys I've heard that, like in terms of those higher gauge strings, that some of them are playing like 11s or 12s, and that's pretty heavy for electric gauge strings if you're not playing some severely detuned tunings there. So just something to consider. Like I said, I definitely love this vibrato. It feels like a Bigsby. It's real nice and smooth, real subtle, which is the way that I use a trem system. I'm not a big dive bomber. I'm not doing any Eddie Van Halen style shredding with it, so I don't need any of that. So I feel like this one feels more comfortable, more natural to me than like a Strat. And one of the great things with this is that, if you're familiar with playing a Strat, when you go to do a big bend, particularly like if you're going to do a big country faux steel string bend where when you hit that big bend, you'll actually pull that bridge up with you, and the whole guitar will go out of tune. So you really can't do that kind of playing. On the Jazzmaster, because it's a different style of tremolo, I can go both directions. I can go up and down here. It's completely free floating, but as I bend those notes, that whole bridge is not moving with me and creating that same out of tune effect that you get with the Strat. So that's a huge plus, I feel, for it. So just wanted to do this little video to, like I said, give you some other ideas to think about, to consider if a Jazzmaster is really for you. Thanks for tuning in. That's it for this week on Wolf Guitars and Gear. I hope you had a great day, and if you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so that you get all future episodes just as soon as they're uploaded.